What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright, and you're here listening to another episode of Paving the Way on what I hope is a beautiful Saturday morning for you, wherever you may be at, whatever it is you may be doing, and whoever it is you may be doing it with. I hope it is going well for you so far. Guys, I hope you had a great week. I know I did. Like I said earlier this week, we've been coming off a lot of just different business travel and things like that. So it's just been, everything's been about 100 miles an hour, it seems like lately. But 'tis the season. We try to embrace it and just enjoy it and make sure we keep this thing on the tracks, even though we're keeping the pedal to the metal, right? So, guys, I want to talk with you today. I know last episode on Wednesday we talked about evaluating leadership frustrations and things like that come up. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that's kind of come up this week in some conversations at work with us is something called USPs or PODs, right? So in business, all right, obviously, guys, like I do business. This is my thing. You can relate this to your own personal identity as an individual, as an employee, as a leader, whatever it may be. So take the context and whatever it is you may want to. I have no doubt that it's relatable to whatever it is that you do on a daily basis. But to explain what these are, USPs and PODs, I'll get to the UFOs in a little bit. But the PODs and the USPs, all right, USP is a unique sales proposition. So what, if you are a company, what is your unique selling proposition? What is unique about you, right? And then PODs is another thing, is your point of differentiation. What makes you different than everybody else, than every other company that can do what you do, or every other employee that can do what you do, or whatever it may be, right? So there's always going to be something that makes you unique or has your point of differentiation that helps you stand out. So it's been something that's been brought up to me in a couple different contexts over the last several weeks that we have to make sure that as a company, we really know those, we identify them, and we also use them as part of our sales process, as part of our marketing process and things like that, right? Because let's face it, you can go to 10 different restaurants across the city that sell steak, right? They all sell steak. They all sell ribeyes or fillets or New York strips or whatever your choice of steak may be. But there's got to be something unique about those that makes you want to go to that specific place and get that steak, to go to Ruth Chris or to go to, Morton Steakhouse or things like that. So you have to make sure that those are identified, because it's what's going to draw people to you. It's what makes you stand out from the crowd. So for us, for example, we have 4 big USPs or PODs that stand out here at Proline. And this is all something I covered in a leadership meeting this week that we had with our team. And I figured, what better way to just share with you guys what we're doing than share it here with you. So the 4 big ones for us is, the first one is communication, right? So we really pride ourselves on not only our frequency of communication, but also like our thorough communication, that we make sure that when we're communicating with clients, whether it's via telephone, text message, email, our project management portal, whatever it may be, that we are always making sure communication lines are open, they're clear, and they're utilized on a regular basis. In our industry, in the pavement world, one of the biggest complaints that we hear about other contractors or other people in this industry is the lack of communication. Whether it's not showing up when you say you're going to show up, or not letting them know you're running late, or not letting them know when a project is finished, or things like that, right? So we make sure that we really, really pride ourselves on keeping open, clear communication with everybody that we work with. The next one that we do is our quality and attention to detail, right? Anybody can go out and paint the stripes in the parking lot. Anybody can go out and put asphalt sealer on the ground. Anybody can go fill a pothole. However, where you have to differentiate yourself is through quality and attention to detail. Making sure that if you have 2 lines that intersect right here, like at a handicap area, that if one goes over the other by a ½ inch, that you don't just leave it. You take a wire brush and you scrub it off and make sure that you're leaving a nice crisp edge. Little things like that, that truthfully, the only people who are going to notice it is us, a competitor, and the person paying the bill for the project, because they're going to want to go out and make sure that what they're paying for is justified and they feel like they got a fair deal, right? So the quality and attention to detail is something huge that we make sure we showcase. We tell clients about it during the sales process, and we like to make sure that it's showcased in our marketing, our digital presence, things like that. The next one is our organization and our processes, right? So I'm a very, what some people consider like a rigid, organized person. I have a routine day in and day out. I do pretty much the same darn thing unless something crazy happens and I can't control what it is I have to do, right? But we've brought that into the company and made sure that we aren't just operating like a chuck in a truck or a one-man band, that we have no idea where we're going on what days or what projects we're doing or things like that. We have an organized process that we follow from the time someone calls our company to the time that we send them an invoice and everything in between, right? Gathering the client information, gathering the project information, scheduling a site visit through a software that makes sure it notifies the client when we're going to be there, what time, who's going to be showing up with their picture, things like that. So we make sure that like the organizational process that we follow is very clear, it's very simple, and it keeps everything in line to make sure that we give the same results every time we do a project. And then the last bit of it is professionalism, right? So the big thing that we really try to push out that differentiates us, that's our unique sales proposition, is that we have professionalism down to a standard that is higher than anyone else. All right, I'll give you guys an example. We were doing a project recently, a repaving project for a parking lot. And part of the scope of work is we had to go back and put, after all of the parking lot is repaved, we have to go back and put all of the parking stall lines, the stripes, all the markings on the lot. And then they also had wheel stops, the concrete wheel bumpers, so you don't run into the building, things like that. But what happened is our crew was out there. We had to go and we had to move them. The client requested we put them out further from the building, so on and so forth. So we go make that happen. On the very last wheel stop that we're adjusting and we're moving, we had a piece of rebar that was going into the ground. And there was a snafu with the planning of that one, that the wrong piece of rebar got grabbed on accident. Well, the rebar was too long and it went down into the ground and it punctured a water line, the main water line that goes into that building, right? So our head crew lead, he was out there on the project, and this has never happened before. I mean, in the 6 years that I've been doing this, I've never punctured a water line putting in wheel stops. So none of us here have ever experienced this, right? So he stopped everything. He took a second, told all the guys, he said, okay, well, let's stop right here. We need to figure out what we're doing here. Walked inside and asked the client, he said, hey, Mr. Client, I think we have a leak outside. Is there any way we can get the water shut off this building so we can determine what's going on? And so they did, right? And so fast forward a little bit, I got notified about this. Like I was actually coming in from out of town on Monday when all this happened. And then I went out to the job site that evening when I got home and changed clothes and got out there. And the client was telling me up and down, he said, Mason was so calm and professional when dealing with this. He said, I could tell he was a little bit stressed or a little bit, kind of uncertain on like what needed to happen. He said, but he was so professional, so respectful, and just really made the decision to say, hey, this is what we need to do. Can you please help us accomplish this? So the fact of that a 20-year-old young man that we have as our crew lead out there who's never experienced this, but we've provided enough of a foundation for him to learn how to hold himself as a professional and to be confident and things like that. That's something that really separates us from other people. So we make sure that when we're training our individuals, that whether it's a crew member, whether it's a salesperson, an administrative person, marketing, anybody that's on our team and that represents us, we have to make sure that all 4 of these USPs and PODs are covered, right? That we really emphasize communication. We really emphasize quality and attention to detail. We really emphasize organizational process. And throughout all of that, we have to remain professional, because there's too many, like I said, chuck in the trucks or one-man bands out there that can do what we do, right? They can go paint the parking lot. They can go pave it. They can fill the pothole or do whatever it is that we're doing. But can they do it how we do it, right? That's the magic. That's the difference that people just can't replicate, okay? So I can give all these playbooks of what we do on a daily basis, but the way we do it, the reason we do it, the belief in why we do what we do, how we do it, that's the differentiator. Like that's the big, big thing. So make sure whenever you're going about your day, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a leader, whether you're a member of a team somewhere, what are the things that separate you from the people who can do what you do? Right? Because let's face it, I mean, unless it's something that is literally biologically impossible for a human to do, we can all do what each other does with enough training, with enough education, with enough training and enough general intelligence. We can all do what each other does. But what helps us stand out? Why did your spouse or your significant other pick you over someone else? You had a point of differentiation. You had a unique selling proposition for them to choose you over everybody else on the face of this earth. So even if you take that 1 point away from here, because I don't know what you're going through, I don't know what struggles you're facing, what challenges you're up against right now, but I can promise you that you, as one individual, there is someone else on this earth that has chosen you over the other billions of people on the planet. So you have a point of differentiation. You have a unique sales proposition for you as an individual. So think about those things. What does your company stand for? What does your position stand for? What do you stand for? And why are you different and better than anything and everyone else around you? Okay. Because I can guarantee you there's at least a handful of things that you can come up with. Now, to get to the part about UFOs, do you think they're real or do you think it's made up? Let me know.